This is a video on adding and subtracting fractions. So in order to add fractions, we must have a common denominator. On this particular problem, we can see that the denominator is 4. And once we have the same denominator, our answer will have that denominator. All I need to do after I get that common denominator between the two fractions here is add, if I have addition in between, or subtract, if I have subtraction in between, the numerators, or the number on top. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Now this is equivalent to the correct answer. So your answer is not technically wrong there, but I would almost always ask you to reduce. So I know that 2 divided by 4 is the same as 1 divided by 2. So my actual answer is 1/2. And you may have known that right from the beginning. If you add 1/4 and 1/4, 2/4 is 1/2. But the process is what we're trying to figure out here. So here we have a different denominator. How do I get a new denominator? Well, what I have to do is I have to multiply by the number 1. When I multiply by the number 1, the value of a number does not change. Except I'm going to be a little tricky about it, and I'm going to multiply by a number over itself. So what number do I have to multiply 2 by to get 4? So if I multiply 2 by 2, I get 4. And in order to not change the value here, I'm multiplying by 2 divided by 2, which is equivalent to 1. So I'm going to multiply the top by 2. So 2 times 1 is 2. And the bottom by 2, which gives me 4. Now we just got 2/4 on the previous answer, and your instincts might be to reduce that. But guess what? We don't want to reduce. We have our common denominator. We did that for a reason. So now we have our denominators the same. I'm going to put that in my answer. And I have 2 plus 3, which gives me my numerator, 5. Are there any factors of 5 that go into 4? Or that share a factor with 4? No. I'm going to leave it as an improper fraction. Now, if you prefer to write this as 1 and 1/4, you may. But my preference has always been improper fractions. Here are 2 improper fractions. I need a common denominator. Now, there's nothing that I can multiply 3 by to get 5 and 5 by to get 3, so I can always find a common denominator by multiplying by the opposite denominator. So I'm going to multiply the first fraction, 9/5 by 3 over 3, and that's going to be 27 over 15. I'm going to keep the subtraction, and then I have 11/3, which I'm going to multiply by 5 over 5. And when I do that, my denominator will also be 15, and my numerator will be 55. Now, I'm going to do this step before I do my subtraction, because I need to have a common denominator, make it easier to compare the two numbers. So from a previous lesson about adding integers, what we're going to compare are the values, or the absolute values of each of these numbers. And if we do that, 27 over 15 has a smaller absolute value. 55 over 15 would have the bigger absolute value. So I'm going to do big minus small, and then keep the sign from the big answer. So the big number, 55 over 15, minus 27 over 15, I have the common denominator. That will come up in my answer. I'm going to do 55 minus 27. I can do that off to the side. Borrow the 1, and I get 28. And again, looking at the bigger number, bigger value for the sign. The bigger value had a negative sign, so my answer will be negative. And since there are no common factors between the numerator and the denominator, that's my answer. Now, when you run into an improper fraction, before you get a common denominator, you can convert that to an improper fraction. I'm sorry, did I say mixed number? I meant mixed number. If you have a mixed number, you can convert that by the following process. Multiply the whole number by the denominator, and then add the numerator. So this would be 36, 4 times 9, and then add 1. This is 37 over 4. And then multiply, that's also 36. Add 2, that's 38 over 3. Let's find our common denominator. Common denominator is also the least common multiple between 3 and 4. So 3 would be 3, 6, 9, 12. 4, the multiples of 4 are 4, 8, 12. So 12 is the value I'm trying to get for my denominator. How do I get that from a 3? I'm going to multiply by 4 over 4 here and 3 over 3 here. I get my denominator of 12. 3 times 37. Again, I don't want to use a calculator for this. Is 111. 4 times 38 is 152. And we have a very similar situation to the last problem. Here's my larger absolute value. Here's my smaller. So I know my answer is going to be a negative. I'm going to subtract 152 and 111. That's a nice one. We get 41. So I end up getting negative 41 over 12. And that is my video on adding and subtracting fractions.